Somos Latinx Radio Stream, una voz que conecta, une e inspira.
Aquí celebramos tus raíces y te ayudamos a crecer.
Desde historias que inspiran hasta el ritmo que nos mueve.
Siempre contigo, siempre latinos.
Latinx Radio Stream, tu cultura, tu música.
En cada rincón donde nuestras raíces laten con fuerza, hay una historia que nos une, una cultura que nos define. En Momento Latino celebramos quiénes somos. Impulsa tus metas, inspira con historias que trascienden. Conecta con la música que llevamos en el corazón, porque en esencia somos uno. Esto es Momento Latino, inspirando, conectando y celebrando lo mejor de nuestra comunidad. Solo por Latinx Radio Stream, tu cultura, tu música.
Hola, hola mi gente linda de Latinx Radio Stream. Aquí estamos otra vez celebrando, empezando esta semana, día lunes, en Momento Latino, 2 horas. 2 horas donde te estaremos acompañando para que aprendas estrategias de emprendimiento que puedes aplicar a tu emprendimiento o también a tu compañía si está en un proceso de crecimiento. Pero también te traemos a través de Boom Latino esas historias que te recordarán que el éxito se vive todos los días y de muchas maneras. Y por qué no olvidarlo, también Son Latino, ese día donde nos recuerda que los lunes también se baila y también se goza. Así que quédate en estas 2 horas, empezando hoy con un gran invitado en Despertar Empresarial. Pero como ustedes saben, en Latinx, Spanglish está bienvenido. Hoy nuestra entrevista va a ser en inglés con un tremendo invitado. Alguien que nos va a enseñar algo muy curioso. ¿Sabías tú que puedes llegar a ser tu propio banco? Bueno, te cuento que hoy en Despertar Empresarial tenemos un súper experto que nos va a enseñar qué es eso y cómo lo podemos hacer. Así que no te me vayas, que esto apenas comienza. Les habla Astrid Cruz a través de Latinx Radio Stream y nos vemos después de esta pequeña pausa para que comencemos nuestro Despertar Empresarial.
¿Casas? ¿Oficina? ¿Albercas? ¿Áreas de fiesta? ¿Mudanzas? No importa cuál sea tu necesidad de limpieza, Caribbean Clean tiene la solución perfecta para ti. Te garantizamos que utilizaremos las técnicas y productos más efectivos para dejar tus superficies impecables. Visita nuestra página web en www.caribbeancleaningsrq.com. Déjanos hacer el trabajo duro por ti.
Hello, my people, and welcome again to Despertar Empresarial. This is a space that we have created for you to learn tips about how to make your business grow, or if you're starting your business, what things you should and should not do so you can grow properly. Well, we have a special guest, like I said, today is in English, but do not worry if you speak mainly Spanish. We're going to have subtitles here so you can learn everything that the expert that we have for you today will teach us. And it's my pleasure to invite you to talk and learn from this great expert. He's a fabulous human being, an excellent professional, but somebody that is going to make our world shine with what he's going to teach us. He's going to teach us that maybe you have heard about. How is that possible that I can become my own bank? Yes, it's true. And for that, we have somebody very special, and he is Bradley Wilson, who's going to teach us today how we can become our own banks. Good evening, Bradley. Welcome to have you here in Despertar Empresarial.
Good evening. Thank you. Glad to be here.
I'm super excited.
Yes, I as well. Yes, thank you.
So, Bradley, I know that many people are wanted to learn how is that I can become my own bank. But before we talk about that, I would like everyone that is watching right now, that's connected with this beautiful space, where we learn about tips for people who are starting their own business or they have been in business for a while and they are trying to figure out how to grow. But I would love for them to get to know who Bradley Wilson is and what do you do?
Great. Thank you. Again, I'm Bradley Wilson. I am the president of BK Financial Solutions. Our ultimate goal is to provide everyone financial peace of mind. So we start with a big goal and then we work out the road, the journey to get there. like a lot of things in life, they don't happen overnight, but it is a process, and we take it step by step. I have a passion for working with individuals, helping them with their personal finances, helping manage that. When I look back at a lot of some financial challenges that people I know and myself have had over the years and learning, a lot of things that I've come to know weren't taught in schools, and
That's absolutely
or
correct.
from friends, and you pick up these things and you want to pour that into other people as well, because the road does not have to be as challenging for everyone. And so I love the opportunity, like being here today, to pass it forward and help people learn so that they have an easier opportunity to be successful in life as well. So I take a different approach with financial advising with my company, which I'll share some of the highlights with throughout the show today.
That's cool. Bradley, I love the idea because when I was preparing to get to know you, I was so curious to hear that you actually teach people how to become their own bank. And for
Yeah,
me, that was like, what?
yeah.
That's, I mean, and I know many people that are listening or are watching right now, they may say, is that possible? A bank requires a lot of money, but I love that. And that's why I want you to first kind of help us understand what do you mean with becoming your own bank?
So with that, it's about the type of financial tool that you use to do that, where you place your money uh, to allow it to grow, and where you can access money.
Oh,
So
cool.
typically, especially for a business owner or even individually, you automatically assume I have to go to the bank to access money, and I have to, of course, pay them to borrow
Totally.
money.
Totally. Yes.
And they're going to charge me whatever I qualify for, a certain percentage interest rate on that.
Correct.
But if we had a tool that we could access, that we could put our money in, and it would grow over time as an investment, and then we could access that money for ourselves, we wouldn't have to go to the bank. We could borrow the money from ourselves without lowering the value of the money that stays in there. So we're borrowing money, from ourselves and becoming our own bank, and paying it back or not paying it back. So it's basically allowing us to have more control over our money without and being more independent with building wealth. So there's different ways of building wealth, and a good way to do that is by a tool that we don't usually think of, and that's permanent life insurance. So
I didn't know. That's interesting. Tell
yes,
me more.
a permanent life insurance policy has um, two aspects to it. The first one, of course, it provides a death benefit, you know, for the person who's insured.
Correct. Which
When
is what we usually know it for, right?
that is correct. So part of the money that you put into the policy, if you're paying monthly, a portion of it goes towards paying for that death benefit. Okay, which says that a certain amount of money will go to your beneficiary when you pass away.
Correct.
But the other portion of your money goes into basically a cash account. Okay, and that cash account is within the policy, and it's allowed to grow every year uh, based off of dividends being awarded to it, if it's a whole life policy, and that's based off company profits. So it will grow with compounding interest each year for that particular type of permanent life insurance, and that cash value grows within that policy. That amount of money adds to the wealth of the policy. So in addition to the death benefit, you have cash growing within that policy at a fairly decent interest rate. And over time, that accumulated value, you can access the cash within that and borrow it from yourself to do whatever you feel you need to do with it. But the benefit of this is, since you're borrowing it as a loan to yourself, it's not considered income. So it is a tax-free distribution to yourself. So that opens up a whole array of
Oh, yeah.
possibilities for you, especially in retirement.
And it makes so much sense now that you explain it, honestly, because you never know. And I think this is very important what you're telling us, because many times, especially people who have been in business for a bit, they're trying to figure out how to make their, like what they call their, make their money work.
Yeah.
So it's growing by itself. You were talking about a specific term that I know maybe a lot of people are familiar, but maybe a few do not know, which is compounding interest. Is,
Yes.
do you mind explain a little bit more what it means?
Yes. Compounding interest means when you have a base amount and each year you get it gets awarded, say, a particular gain, say 5%.
Correct.
So 5% on that gain at that time. That's added to the base amount. So the next year, that amount, the base amount is more than it was before because it includes that gain from the previous year. And so a whole another 5% is added on top of that, and it grows more. So each year you get more and more, your base grows, so you get more growth, as opposed to just getting the same 5% of the original value each year. If that
Okay,
makes
let me see if I understood correctly. So the regular traditional way of gaining this interest is, say, for example, I have $1,000,
yes,
and every year the regular way of can gain interest is by, say, I'm gaining 7% of my the $1,000.
yes.
But every year the 7% is from the same $1,000, correct?
So it
Uh,
that would be non-compounded.
Correct. That's the regular.
That's the
And
regular.
the compounding, which is the one you're telling us, is this year I'm gaining $1,000, and I'm saying that I'm earning the 10% out of the 10,000 and the 1,000.
Yes,
So the next year is not gonna start from the 1,000, but it will start from the 1,000 plus the interest that
that
I'm
is
earning.
correct. You
Oh,
got it. You got it.
oh, yes.
You got it.
I was
That's
trying to make sure because I know it can get complicated, but I'm glad.
no.
Perfect. That means it really is like what they said. It's kind of, I'm making my money work for me.
Yes. And in addition to that, the thing about this they call it cash value life insurance,
Oh,
because you get to build cash value within that permanent life insurance policy. Now, what's great about it is if you're the type of person who really wants to accumulate as much wealth as possible in that policy, the government, the IRS, will allow you to overfund that policy.
oh, I didn't know that.
So even though there is a set allocation, which means that, say you're putting $100 in a policy, say $40 go to death benefit, $60 goes into the cash account.
Hmm.
They're saying you can overfund it. That means you can put extra money in on the cash side
Oh, wow.
up to a certain limit, but it's a fairly good limit,
Wow.
because to take advantage of that growth over time.
Wow. So this now it makes so much sense what you were saying about becoming your own bank, because that's kind of what like the banks do with our money. But
Yes.
in this case, it's pretty much we're doing it with our own money. We don't have to pay all the fines, all the fees, and nothing like that. Is we're making our money work. I love that, and I
Right.
never thought that something like that. And I heard the terms, and I know many people that are watching us right now may have heard it too, but they may not have an expert like you telling us and explaining,
Thank-
because we have the benefit of protecting our loved ones if
Yes.
something may happen to
Yes.
us.
Yes.
But we also, like you said, we are investing where we can grow our money and, like you said, our wealth.
Right. And don't forget the tax-free benefit of that
Oh,
too.
yes.
You can
That's
access the money. So what people will do is they'll make this a part of their retirement plan. So they may have all kinds of retirements, maybe a 401k or an IRA, and they're growing those, but they have overfunded cash value life insurance as part of their retirement plan. So when they get to retirement and they're drawing income out of these different type of vehicles, it's good to have that cash value life insurance, because you can access the cash in there tax free. So
that's
you don't have to report that income. Now,
that's
Social Security will be taxable, 401k will be taxable. You're limiting the amount of taxable income when you have cash value life insurance as well, so you pay less taxes in retirement. It's used as a tool to reduce your taxes so you keep more money in your pockets in retirement.
That's so smart. That's so smart. It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Bradley, who qualifies for anything like this? Who can become, like I said, their own bank?
Well, it starts with getting a policy that's customized for you. So you're basically qualifying for an insurance policy, and so the qualifications are pretty much the same as getting insurance so it's going to be based off your income. Okay, it's going to be based off you're a smoker, non-smoker. It's going to be based off your age, and those typical in your medical history.
Correct. Like a regular life
It's a regular
insurance.
insurance policy, but the permanent allows you to use it for multiple purposes instead of just relying on just a death benefit.
Wow, that's awesome. So pretty much anybody who qualifies for a life insurance
Yes,
pretty much qualifies for anything like this, correct?
yes, yep.
And you say it's called cash value life
Yeah.
insurance.
Yes, it's a type of permanent life insurance policy. So whole life is one. I like using index universal life, referred to as an IUL, as well too. It grows a little bit different than with dividends each year, but it's the same method of appreciation.
I love that you're telling us this, Bradley, because I know many times, and I think it's a misunderstanding or misconcept that we have when we hear the term life insurance. And I
Yeah,
know many of my Latin and Hispanic community are learning so much, and I know many more people that when we hear the word life insurance, we only think about, when something happened to me,
yes,
is kind of how the way I can protect my family.
yes,
But I love this that you're teaching us because it's also how I can invest,
yes.
protect myself, but not only leave them that benefit, but also a great investment. Because that was my question.
That,
This
that
is go ahead.
That is a very, very good point. I'm so glad you brought that up because I'm in conversations like that a lot of times. It's trying to correct the say the mindset and just the way people view their perception of insurance. A lot of times it is. Some people just think insurance policy is just a small amount of death benefit
Mhm.
to cover funeral costs, but it's a lot more than that conversation. It's so many different purposes, and I'll tell you who's very, very familiar with how to get the benefits out of life insurance, and that's a lot of very, very wealthy people,
Well, that's true. That's absolutely.
and very and corporations and banks, because they utilize this fully, um, for to build wealth and to pay lower taxes and
I
things
love
like
it. It's so cool that you're teaching us this, Bradley, because I actually have a question to you.
yeah.
So we're talking about this tool that we
Mhm.
can use to invest, but to protect. But I would love to also talk because I would say, like you were saying, perception.
Yeah.
Perception. A lot of people think life insurance, and I know it's a big mistake, and a lot of people who are in the insurance world and will be tired of talking this, that people think about life insurance after a certain age,
Yes.
but they don't think that unfortunately is part of life, that any time can be your day. But also with this, what you're saying is kind of, no way. I mean, you can imagine if you're young and you have a life insurance and you are of course protecting your loved ones, but you are investing in this way. I guess that's how a lot of people that you were saying
Yes. Yes. So
becoming
that's a good
wealthy.
point. So to reiterate what you're saying, if the thinking is that life insurance is only just for a death benefit later on in life, people are smart enough because they'll take a permanent life insurance and they'll take out a policy on their grandchildren.
Oh, that
They're not
makes
taking
sense.
it out on their grandchildren because they expect them to pass away. They're taking it out because they want to load it up with that cash in the policy, because life insurance is least expensive the younger you are.
Okay, makes so much sense.
So they can get an overfunded permanent life insurance policy on a grandchild who may be 2 or 3 years old. They can put maybe $150 in there, where most of that is on the cash side of the policy, and they know that will grow. By the time they're 60, 70 years old, they'll have over $500,000 of cash value in that.
Oh, I love that.
And
I
that's
love the idea. I love
because
that
they
you're teaching that. Yes.
and we talk about generational wealth. Those are some of the tools that have been used over time where families are smart and they do that. They'll insure the kids, they'll insure the family, and they put it in a trust and they just let it grow because they know that over time, they access it when they have to, but they know it is building up on its own a lot of that cash value that they can access tax free and utilize for things in life. So it kind of gives them a head start.
I think it's very smart to also to mention. Would you say, Bradley, this option is only for people who have businesses? Because it sounds like anybody kind of pretty much can have it, right?
This is for anybody. This is for anybody, and it's for businesses to utilize as well. And so, with regards to business owners, there's certain strategies that I teach to business owners that can utilize this tool to their benefit.
Gotcha.
And so, for example, um, overall, I teach defensive financial strategies.
Well, I love that
And
one.
the reason why I say that is because most businesses get coached on making money, on growing the business, which needs to happen, right?
Correct.
But those are all offensive strategies.
Yes.
And so that's where most of the focus is. And so, and I'm a business owner myself. So I understand, we spend most of our time um, working in our business. We grind,
Trying to grow it. Yes.
grind daily working, in our business. But a lot of times we don't spend nearly enough time working on our business. And what I mean by that is, and that's from a long-term strategic planning standpoint or a risk mitigation standpoint. Okay. Because your business's success isn't just based off how much money and profits you build, it's
Correct.
also based off of how you protect your most valuable assets of your business from risk. It's those things that it's your risk exposure. And when you have unexpected events occur that lead to financial loss, you could lose all the profits that you've built.
Totally.
So it's
And
about protecting yourself. So I like to use an analogy um, for those who are sports fans. So we'll say football. In the game of football or soccer, um, there's a common expression that says that offense scores points, but defense wins championships.
yes, I
Have
have
you
heard.
heard
Yeah.
of that? Yeah.
Yes.
And so, would you agree with that? Let me
To-
ask you that.
Totally. I
Okay.
totally because, and I think I love where you're going because I think I can see where you're going, and I love it because so many times you have said key points I want to highlight, and one of the things is you said defense, and
Yes,
like many times we hear it that we have to create money, but here's you're kind of helping us understand there is a way for also protecting it, but
absolutely.
also to grow it, which I love that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yep. And so just like in sports, your business, it's important to have offensive strategies and defensive strategies to protect your assets when unexpected events occur, because that's what can take you out of business. So I like for people to consider themselves the head coach of their business,
Hey,
right?
yes,
And as a head coach, you can have a good offense. You can be reinvesting in the company. You could be generating profits. You can have good sales. But if you don't have a good defensive plan that's going to protect, your business from unexpected events, then you could lose everything that you've built. So there's some key areas, if you allow me to kind of point out some of these risk areas for
abs-
businesses to look out for.
absolutely good because I'm learning so much. I'm here.
So for example, one area is I call it executive compensation planning. So what that basically is identifying key employees in your organization that are very, very valuable. So, because there was a survey done a couple years ago with 40,000 of CEOs around the world, and they were asked, "What is your number one internal concern?" And their number one concern was attracting and retaining key employees.
Totally.
And so there's a lot of turnover in these during a good economy, with um, where you have low unemployment, where you have people who are very talented. Competition is very, very high for that talent. So
Totally.
they get offered options to go other places all the time. And so your business could be put at risk if you have that type of turnover from key employees.
Correct.
So one defensive strategy would be to identify those key employees and give them a good incentive to stay with you, and incentivize them by creating a really good total compensation plan for them.
That's beautiful. I love that because, like you said, so many times we're looking for perks for our gray employees, make them like, where you want to make them feel valuable.
Yes,
And like you said, that they stay with you. But I love this one because somehow you're also helping them grow financially.
absolutely, absolutely. And the reason why most of those people go away, they say that 35% of key employees will leave this year from their current position. They may seem like they love it, but they can be lured away by a better compensation package. So it's not just salary, it's the total package. It's retirement plan. It's other types of perks like that. So utilizing um, setting up a good retirement plan that's non-traditional, like using cash value life insurance as part of their retirement package, is a good way to do that. So that's
Mhm.
again a good example of adding to their retirement plan this type of vehicle to incentivize them, that says that, hey, if you hang around for 10 years with this company, you're going to get you're going to get access to this policy for you. I'm going to hand over ownership of this policy to you if you stay 10 years. That type of thing.
Wow. Wow, that it makes so much sense. And honestly, and I think that they really will appreciate it what you have done for them because it's not only like you're showing them that you value them, but also you're giving them tools for them to grow financially as your business is growing. So I think that I can see that how they will really value that any employer can do for their key, like you said, very important. Not everyone, but
Yes,
key
key employees. That's
employees.
right. So I
That's
mean, so in a sense, that is a defensive strategy. Another defensive strategy is with business owners who have partners or have co-owners where they're just not one person running it. There's situations where if something unexpected happened, like one of the owners or partners becomes disabled, or needs to retire abruptly, or passes away, you know, what happens to the company at that point?
yes, yes.
So we're talking about having a business succession plan in place that lays out what will happen to the equity in the company should one member, depart. And
Absolutely.
so you can actually set it up such that there's a plan in place where the equity of the person who departed gets bought out by assets in the business that are growing, which could also be from the business owning a cash value life insurance policy that's building that equity to help fund the buyout instead of the company having to take out a loan to buy out a partner. Thank
Or kind of handling the situation, like you said. Unfortunately, sometimes that term that you're using, defensive, I love it because sometimes we think it's a bad thing that when you have to defend, but in this case, it's kind of you're protecting it.
you,
You're
protect.
thinking ahead, so something that, like always, life happens. You
Yes,
didn't expect it, but you are prepared for it. I
yes,
love that.
absolutely. Thank you, thank you.
Bradley, unfortunately, the time is running now, but
Okay,
I
okay.
appreciate you so much
Oh,
because
okay.
you showed
Yeah,
us so much.
it was my
But
pleasure.
I want to ask you something because before you go, I want to make sure, with all the knowledge that you have, there is something that I know in your own experience you have seen, I would say, business owners, individuals, a big mistake that you see over and over be repeated.
Okay.
Could you share with us what would be that thing that you would recommend us not to do so we can become that wisdom or acquire that wisdom when it comes to finances, but also to be able to become our own banks, or
Yeah.
even be able to learn how to make the right decisions when it comes to our financial stability?
Yes, that's a very good question. Thanks for the question. If I look back at that, probably the biggest point I would want to make to business owners is that when you start your business, have an exit strategy. So I know when you start your business, you're thinking about getting started, growing it, and all that. But have an exit strategy. Know when you're good, how you're going to leave that business. So you want to begin with the end in mind. Do you know you want to grow it to a certain level and sell it? That's another strategy. You want to grow it and pass it on to your children. That's another strategy. But begin with the end in mind.
Well,
And to go along with that, exit strategy is basically retirement, okay? Or going to another business.
correct.
But while you're in the business and growing it and drawing salary in there, when it comes to retirement planning, make sure that you plan your retirement outside of your business, because you want to plan to live independent of your business in retirement.
That makes so much sense. And I actually never have thought of that. That's an awesome, awesome advice, because I think so many times we think that we own a business, but we ended up being owned by the business. So I
That,
love what you're saying.
that is right. And the last point is that if you run your business and you're putting all your eggs in one basket. And so if you invest outside of that, if something happens to your business, you'll still be okay. You still have the retirement. So for example, think of all those businesses who had been successful and all those owners who were banking on the success of their business to be their retirement before COVID happened. And
Yes.
all those businesses, a lot of those businesses went under.
And unfortunately, so
And
many.
with that, probably a lot of those retirement assets went under too. But had they invested outside of that, they could have shut the business down, but still had assets to the side outside the business. They could have moved on to the next level.
That's an amazing advice. Number one, thank you so much. I never have thought about, like you said, start your business with the way you wanna exit it.
That's
It's
correct.
an amazing thing. And also, like you said, I think that many times we have this mindset of what we think that we know everything, but I appreciate you for being here, Bradley, for telling us the truth, for sharing wisdom, for
Thank you.
helping us think in a different way. Because even myself, I'm gonna go tonight and trying to figure out, okay, my business, how I'm gonna exit my business. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Bradley. I
Very well.
appreciate you. And if you are home, do not worry. I'm gonna share Bradley information so you can follow him in his social media.
Yeah.
But also, Bradley, if anybody, because I know many people want to know more about how you can help them, how they can connect with you.
Sure. You can email me,
Perfect.
bradley.wilson06@gmail.com. At I give my business number, 913-302-7274.
And do not worry if you're at home, because we're going to put everything here in the link below so you can learn, connect with Bradley, follow him, and asking questions. I guarantee you, Bradley will be open to answer all the questions you may have about how to become smart when it comes to financing, planning your finances, how to create that strategy to exit your business. Go ahead and reach out. Thank you, Bradley, again. I appreciate you so much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Y tú que estás en casita, ya no te me vayas, que esto sigue aquí en Momento Latino, porque te traemos hoy una super historia en Boom Latino. Ya regresamos después de esta pequeña pausa. Chao, chao. Bye, Bradley.